Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to your very own BYJU'S 9th and 10th grade channel. I'm your teacher Aishwarya and I welcome you to yet another amazing class with us today where we are going to be solving 30 very important questions from biology. So I hope that all of you are excited for this class, and very quickly students, please do let me know if my audio, my video and my screen and whatever I'm writing on the screen is visible. If it is, give me a quick thumbs up to let me know that we are good to go. Yes, are you all able to hear me? Okay, I can see that I am here, I am visible. Awesome. Okay, I can see myself in the phone, but very quickly students, quick reminder, I hope that all of you are super duper excited for the class. Good evening, Chanchal. I can see many of you are here. Shaurya, Epic Gamer, Harsh, Ayushman, Sid, many of you are here. Good evening. Hi, Sakshi. Good evening, Vidyun. Good evening, Megu. Good evening, Ashvi. Aditya is here. Good evening. I missed all of you. You have no idea how much I missed all of you. This is actually, I just resumed work from Monday because just last week I find my doctors gave me a thumbs up saying that okay, medically you are fine, but a lot of voice exercises need to be done, lot more effort needs to go into making my voice okay, because as you can see today I'm speaking very softly unlike my usual self. Little bit of hoarseness is still there. It's probably because I'm taking a lot of yesterday I took a long class, so my voice is also pretty low. I mean, it's still getting used to the, I would say, routine, right? So everyone, good evening to all of you. Those of you who are very new, I welcome you to our channel. As you all know, BYJU'S 9th and 10th grade channel is committed in ensuring that your board prep works or your board preparation happens in the best way possible. If you enjoy the way we teach, if you love to learn from us, don't forget to hit the like button on this video, and of course, most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. So good evening all of you, good evening. Without wasting any more time, we are going to get started. Now, of course, what can you expect in today's class? So first and foremost, we are going to be doing 30 questions today, right? Now, of course, it says 6 to 8 logo, ignore that. So we're going to be doing 30 questions today, out of which you know the drill, right? When I come with 30 questions, it means that there are going to be 15 objective questions and there are going to be 15 subjective questions. Now, 15 objective questions that are going to be there will happen through YouTube polls. No Menti today, really sorry about that. Today we are not going to be having Menti, but rather we will be doing it through YouTube polls. And we will be doing 15 subjective questions where I'll take you to I will take you through 2 marks, 3 marks, 4 marks and 5 mark questions. But can I tell you all one thing today? See, today is Jan 31st, which means that tomorrow is Feb 1st, and you have officially entered the month where your board examination is going to start. So today I'm not going to be coming up with some complicated questions that you will never be able to answer. These questions are very easy. These questions are simple. These questions are questions that can come in your board examination. Which is why if you are asking me, Megu, can I score 90 plus if I watch this? You can. Because the kind of questions that we have picked today are not very difficult ones, but they are not very easy ones or basic ones. Some are basic, of course, but we've tried to maintain the competency level. Which is why today, please understand that today's class is going to be extremely helpful for all of you. As I promised, right? Today's class, if you spend, let's say, the next 1.5 hours with me, my guarantee to you is that you will feel a lot more confident about biology. Ayush, regarding power prep, our team will get in touch with you very soon. Don't worry about it. Tomorrow, the link will be available. Menti, see, closer to the examination, I know Menti is what you would prefer, but today it's also important that you know how to write answers in biology, which is why I have the subjective questions as well, right? I know many of your pre-boards are done. Many of you saying you've got 79 and very good marks. That is awesome. Very, very happy to see your score. Keep it going, right? Okay. Ma'am, is board examination harder than sample paper? 50-50. It can come harder than the sample paper. It can come easier with easier than the sample paper as well, right? Okay, so students, I'm very, very happy to see all of you here. Very quickly, how excited are all of you? Because yes, I terribly missed all of you as well, right? You've got 80 out of 80, 60 out of 80. It's okay. Nishant, lot of time to make progress. Don't be disheartened, okay? Yes, ma'am, these questions will confirm come in board exam. See, if I had that much of premonition, then I would directly come and leak paper to you, right? Okay. Now, students, I have a small request before I get started. As you all can see, my voice is still recovering, right? So I may need to take breaks in between, right? Maybe 5-minute breaks in between. I know you don't need it, but because from my end, I would need to take those breaks. Otherwise, tomorrow I will have no voice to take class. So I will take breaks in between. Please don't mind. In case, if you are someone who has an exam tomorrow, or if you feel like class is going longer than usual, it's okay. Come back and watch the entire video, okay? Awesome. Jaldi say yes, hit the like button. Now everyone, we are going to get started, right? Thank you. Thank you so much for all of you telling me that it's okay. Thank you so much. It means a lot, right? Because your time, right? Your time is very valuable to me as well, no? That is why I'm letting you know beforehand as well. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Amazing. What disease did I get? I got laryngitis, where there was a growth in my voice box. Okay, don't be scared for exams. Why fear when we are here, right? Don't be scared. We've got this covered. Komal, I'll take that question up. But first, let's go to question number 1. Yes, question number 1, everybody on your screens. We're going to get started with the objective questions. And let me make the poll live for all of you. Okay, so the poll is live, everyone. And the question is, small hair-like structures line the upper part of the human respiratory tract. These structures help in trapping dust particles, germs, chemicals, all of that during breathing. Smoking is likely to cause infections in the respiratory tract. Which statement best explains this particular fact? Go through all the options first. Pause the video if you're watching it later. Go through the options and give me the answer. See, Ayushman, everybody, Ashvi, now is not the time to give with question mark. Give the answer with confidence. It's okay, 89 is also good marks. You can get much better marks, right? You can do much better. Don't worry, those of you who are saying, ma'am, I got 89, I got only, out of, let's say, 100, you've scored. If you've scored 75 plus, it's good marks. There's always scope for progress, right? Very good, very good. Okay. Awesome. Let's go through the question once again. We're talking about the small hair-like structures, which means we are talking about the cilia, right? And we're talking about the impact that smoking could have on the cilia. Now, option A says that it can destroy, right? It can destroy these hair-like structures. Let's hold that thought. What about B? It can cause excessive growth of the hair-like structures, which means that can it help in making the size of the cilia bigger? Because that is what it's saying, that it can cause excessive growth of these hair-like structures. That is not going to happen, right? It cannot cause excessive of growth. It can stimulate hair-like structures to release chemicals. No, it cannot stimulate them, or it cannot make cilia release some chemical substances. No. It can make it wet and it can fail to trap it. No, right? Because when people smoke, they are taking in, let's say, when they smoke, right? Or when they use a cigarette, it's smoke that is going in. It's not making things wet. Rather, it could create a more drier environment there, which is why some people tend to cough, right? So in such cases, the environment could be made more drier if in any case. It is not making it wet. So what could be the most possible answer here? The most possible answer here would be option A, where smoking can destroy these hair-like structures. Why not C? Because when you smoke, or when an individual smokes, right, what is happening is harmful chemicals are entering into the body. but it is not making the cilia release it. Harmful chemicals are entering, but cilia is not releasing it. That is why C cannot be the correct answer, Kumar. I hope that you are clear right now. Yes? Awesome. I can see many of you are feeling confident right now. Very good, very good. And majority of you have given me the correct answer. So in such questions, very good, Aditya. See what is the most suitable answer. So this is an example of a very generic kind of question. See what is more suitable. See what is more appropriate, right? That will be a better way to answer such questions. Yes? Awesome. So 1 mark for those of you who've got this correctly. Now let's go on to the next question. This is where I told you the questions are easy. I don't even need to give you a poll for this question, but for the sake of it, I'm going to give it, right? So the question here is asking us, cerebellum is responsible for controlling voluntary actions of the body. Which among these are actions controlled by the cerebellum? So here you need to be able to identify and tell me which of these actions here are voluntary and which are involuntary. Yes? Can you tell me which is voluntary and which is involuntary? This is easy peasy. Deepti, I have an awesome trick for assertion reason. It's a method that I have only come up because that's how I end up solving such questions. Elimination will also work, yeah. But elimination is going to be based on that, right? Very good, Harshit. Very good. Very good, Manash. Very good. Yes, Aditya. Okay. Awesome. Shivam, very good. Very good. Okay. So let's have a look. Of course, the correct answer here is option D, jumping from a height. Because in this case, if you see beating of heart, blinking of eyes, or watering of mouth, all these are involuntary actions, which means that they are not controlled by us, right? They cannot be consciously controlled by us. Whereas jumping from a height, that is something that we can control, right? If I don't want to jump from a height, I will not jump. It's a conscious decision, right? Which is why this right here is voluntary. And this is an action which can be controlled by cerebellum. So very good, students. I can see that many of you here have got the correct answer. Super. 1 mark for all of you. Okay. Somebody is asking me, ma'am, will this question come in the exam? It can, right? It can come in the exam. Okay. Sure, Sakshi, I will look into it. Now I will do MCQs, then I will do subjective. Okay? Ma'am, please look at doubt also. I am looking at your doubt, no? Kumar? Okay. Don't say that, Pragya. You do deserve. If it's out of 80 and you get marks, don't worry. Okay? Okay. Let's move on to question number 3. We have 4 statements from which you need to tell me which is incorrect about a balanced ecosystem. So you have 4 options. It says it's made up of interconnected food chains. It involves interdependence amongst living organisms. Animals are dependent on plants, but plants are not dependent on animals. It involves communities of different populations. So very quickly, can you give me the answer? Let me start the poll for all of you. Okay. This is an easy one, right? This should be easy if you have read the options correctly. If you have not read the options correctly, then you will be making mistakes. Don't be worried, Vibhor, because sometimes we tend to have this thing called imposter syndrome where we feel like we don't deserve to get good marks. Don't be overconfident that you've scored good marks, but always keep working harder, right? Ma'am, in pre-board, the answer key indicated. Is it? I'll get back to you, Kumar, on the same case, if you don't mind, right? Okay. Very good, all of you. Very good. I can see that many of you here have given me the correct answer. Super. That means that all of you have read the options correctly. The incorrect statement is option C, right? Which means that here we cannot say that plants are not dependent on animals, when previous statement only has told you that living organisms are interdependent on each other. And in the very next statement, we are saying that our plants are not dependent on us. That is not the case. Plants are dependent on, let's say, animals for processes like pollination. Plants are dependent on, let's say, for nutrients that come in, right? Lot of nitrogenous nutrients, yes. So that way, if you see, this statement right here is incorrect. So correct answer here is option C. Yes. Why not option D? Because option D here is telling us that in an ecosystem, right? They're asking you what is incorrect about ecosystem. What is an ecosystem? An ecosystem is a space where we have both living organisms, non-living components, and they are interdependent. And in these living organisms, we see that there are communities or groups of living organisms that exist as population, which is why the correct answer here is option C. Yes? So very good. And yes, of course, we need animals for carbon dioxide as well. Exactly. Very good. ये वाला competency था. Exactly. Very good, students. Very, very good. Now we will move on to the next question, question number 4. So we have again 4 statements given to us from which you need to tell me which statement is incorrect. It says that DNA has the complete set of information of a particular characteristic. DNA is the molecule which is responsible for inheritance. Change in information will produce a different protein. Characteristics will remain the same even if protein changes. This is a very easy question, right? This is based on the chapter, How Do Organisms Reproduce? This is from your chapter. This is from our chapter, Heredity. So you should be able to tell me these are basic characteristics of the DNA, right? Hello students, hello, many of you have come in just now. Welcome to the class. The length, Ashwini, length of pollen tube is dependent upon the length of the style or the distance between stigma to ovary, right? Yeah, this is a very easy question. I told you, right, today my job was not to come. See, when you're coming closer to the examination, I'm giving you questions that are not super easy also, but they are easy that you can crack it, right? So that is why my job today is to just make you feel good about your preparation. My job is not here to come and tell you, you don't know anything, you have to study more. That's not my way. My way is to tell you that, see, your preparation is good. Your preparation is, in the right direction and you know what you need to do. Yes? Ansh, I can solve your biology doubts when I take biology class, but I'm helping your seniors right now, so it'll be difficult for me to take them. Yes? Okay, I can see that many of you here have got the correct answer, and the correct answer here is option D, easy, right? Easy peasy question. Because when you talk about DNA, we know that DNA has the information to characteristics, right? It's the genetic material. And of course, if you see, we know that it has all the information necessary, and we see that it has genes which acts as the unit of inheritance. That means DNA is what gets transferred from parent to offspring, right? Then what do you see? We see that DNA has various genes, right? What are genes? Genes are segments of DNA that code for a particular protein, right? So here you have gene that codes for a particular protein, yes? And we see that proteins are what bring about various characteristics. Now, if there is a change in the protein produced, then it can have an impact on the characteristic. We cannot say that it will not have an impact, yes? So don't worry about, so in case if you feel that even if there's a change in protein, nothing will have an impact, no, right? Which is why in this case, the correct answer is option D, right? Questions are of the level, yes, exactly. See, they're not easy, but they're not difficult also. They are what I would say where your competency lies, yes? Thank you, thank you. I will take your doubts. I'll do one thing. We will cover about 8-9 questions and then I will stop to take doubts. I hope that is okay with all of you. Please be okay with that. Yes? Because I cannot take doubts in between. It will be a little difficult for me. Yes? Okay. Question number 5 given to us where a food web is there, right? Now from this food web, you have to tell me which are the primary consumers of the food web, right? Okay. These are board level questions. These are board level questions, everyone. None of it is substandard in every way. Ansh, please don't spam. I request you not to spam. So I will quickly give you the poll and you can give me the answers. Let me give you the options and yeah, give me the option. Like these are the options, so you can give me the answer. Very good, very good. Yes. Yellow boxes can come, so don't skip them. I will take the question on ovule and ovary. Please give me some time. Nishant, are you asking about a previous question? Need to follow up with you, right? Okay, awesome. See, now we're talking about what is a primary consumer. So if you look at a food chain, right? So when we look at a food chain, we know that we have producers. Then the organism which feeds on the producer is what we call as a primary consumer. Now in this case, what are our producers? Plants, grass, seed. So which is our primary consumer? It is mice and rabbit, which is why in this case, if you see, the correct answer is option D, mice and rabbit. This is a very easy question because all you needed to do was identify the producer first. Yes, who is eating the producer? That is what you need to find out next, right? So 2 steps, may easy peasy, it'll be done. Yes? Okay. Now next one, there on diagrams. Yes, Dhriti, I will do that. Ma'am, is there 4 food chains? Number of food chains, I have not counted, but yeah, should be around 3, 4. Okay. Yes, NCRT questions we will do. Don't worry about that. Okay. Ansh, I will have to put you on timeout if you continue spamming, so I request you not to do that. Okay? Now let's go on to question number 6. Yes, question number 6, everybody on your screens. Now, in a person, let's say that the tubular part of the nephron is not working at all, right? It is not working at all. What will happen to the urine formation? You have 4 options from which you need to tell me which is the correct answer. Now again, let me quickly make the poll live for all of you. Okay. Awesome. Kumar, ovary that is there is the swollen structure, right? Ovary is the swollen base of the female reproductive part in flowers. Ovule are these small things present inside the ovary which has the female gamete. So that is the difference between ovary and ovule. Okay. I can see that there's a confusion between C and D. Okay. Many of you are saying urine is more concentrated, right? Now let's go back to the process. Now let's be little logical. Let's think logically. Now we have nephron, right? Nephron here has glomerulus, right? And then of course it has the tubular part. Now what is the function of the tubular part? Can you tell me? Yes? Can you tell me what is the function of the tubular part? Absorbs water, right? And what water does it absorb? Can you tell me? Selective reabsorption, okay. Selective reabsorption of what? Salts, okay. Fine. So now what will happen? I think I'll have to go back a little more, right? So in this case, we know that through glomerulus, we have filtration process that takes place where your water, glucose, amino acids, all of them will get filtered, right? But now we want the good things to go back, right? We want all the good things to go back, which means that my water, my glucose, my amino acids, I want all of this to go back, yes? Now, if this is not working at all, that means that reabsorption is not happening. Yes, absorption is not happening. What will happen? If my reabsorption process is not happening, what is going to happen? Komal, I will take your doubt. I will take it, but I have an assertion, reason, question. That's why. So I'd like to take it then. Can you tell me, jaldi se? It will be concentrated. Will it be concentrated? When will it be concentrated? When there is more water or less water? Yes, we will bring you practice test. Don't worry. Useful materials will not be absorbed. Okay. I have to see the chat here. Concentration increases, color changes. Yes. Less water. You guys are a little confused. Less water. How is there less water? Quantity will increase. Concentration. Okay, very good. Maitri is saying it's concentrated. Diluted. Still, more water, less water. There is a debate going on between more and less water. Ma'am, shouldn't it be less water? See, now we're talking about, let me end the poll because I'm not able to, see this. See, what is happening is that the tubular part is not working at all, right? So we're saying that the tubular part of the nephron is not working. And they're saying what will be the effect on urine formation. So in this particular case, quantity and quality will get affected, but they are saying it is remaining unaffected. See, quantity and quality will get affected, but here our statement is telling it is unaffected. So it cannot be option B, right? Urine, can it be more concentrated? It cannot be more concentrated, right? Because when it's concentrated, that means it has less amount of water, which is why what do we see? We see that urine will, first of all, whatever that comes out, right, along with your waste materials will have the good substances also. And along with that, it will be more diluted, which is why in this case, we see that the correct answer is option D. Yes? Are we clear now? Are you clear about this? I have a question on lymph. I will teach that. Kumar, there are other people who need to learn, right? Okay. What happened? Why is everyone so confused right now? Are we clear? Can you give me a CC on the chat? Can you give me a quick CC? Ma'am, can you explain once again? Okay. See, let's go back. Yeah, I'll explain it. Now you have your nephron, right? You have your nephron here. This is your nephron, okay, and this is your tubular part that is there. Now in the nephron, if you look at it, we know that there is the glomerulus, right? And here at this part, we have glomerular filtration that is happening. Yes, which means that all your unwanted substances along with, let's say, some amount of water, glucose, amino acids, etc., all of that is going to be coming into this, remaining part of the nephron. Now in the remaining part of the nephron, we know that it is the tubular part. And in the tubular part, we are saying that it is not working properly, right? So it's saying that it is not working properly. What does the tubular part do? It is responsible for reabsorbing all our important substances, right? Such as excess of water also, right? So whatever water is needed for my body, right? So whatever is necessary, some amount of water that is there, that also needs to come back, right? Now don't think of it in terms of excess water. Now when I drink like 1 bottle of water, I might urinate more because excess water is there. Don't think in that angle. Think of it as there is X amount of water, right? And some amount of it is needed for my body, right? Some of it is needed for my body. So it has to go back to my body, yes or no? So all the good things that is needed needs to go back, which also includes water. You all agree with me? Now your tubular part is not working at all, which means all of this will go, right? Are we clear? So that reabsorption process is not going to happen, right? That is the reason behind it. Okay. So with this, everyone, we will move on to our next question, right? Now, if you have some verification in this question, I will quickly cross-check it with the textbook as well, and I will come back to you on that question, because I see that there's a lot of debate that is happening because the approach of the question can be different, right? See, that's a trick question because the way we approach it can be, the way you are thinking and the way I am thinking could be different. So I will definitely cross-check it once again and I'll come back to you, right? Okay. Now this is a easy peasy question where we have the layer P, which is present in the stratosphere region, and we see that this particular layer is very important, and there are certain chemicals which can cause thinning of layer P. So which among the following is responsible for this? Can you tell me? Very good, Preeti. Very good, Bean. I can see Anshika is giving me the answer. Very good. Ayushman, very good, Mithu. Okay, you don't need poll for this. This is that easy. Hello, Subhash. So been so long. Very good. I can see Shrikant has also given me the answer. Nishant. Awesome. Answer is option D, right? Because here we see that layer P here is nothing but ozone, yes, which is there in the stratosphere, right? And what has caused the thinning of the stratosphere? That is nothing but the CFCs, or the chlorofluorocarbons, which is why the correct answer here is option D, which is 3 only. Are we clear? Why not C? Because chlorofluorocarbons or CFCs are the ones which will destroy it. That's why the correct answer is 3 only. Yes? Awesome. Now let's go on. We'll pick up the pace. We'll go on to question number 8. Question number 8 is an easy one, right? Which among the following are environment friendly practices? We have 4 options from which you need to tell me the correct answer. This is so easy that you don't even need a poll. That's how easy it is, right? Okay. Very good, students. Very, very good. Just give me one moment. Okay, this is easy peasy lemon squeezy question. The correct answer is option D, which is all of the above. Carrying cloth bags, switching off lights unnecessarily, walking instead of using physical transport. All of these are easy, right? Or they're all considered to be environmental friendly practices. So correct answer here is option D. Yes? Now let's go on to question number 9. It's assertion reason time. Ta-ta-da-da. So assertion A says that characteristics of parental plants can be preserved through vegetative propagation. Reason being that asexual reproduction involves only mitosis. Now I will get to know. This is how it will come in board exam. It will not be very easy, but it will not be difficult also. Ritika, we've done that question on nervous system and hormonal system. How one is fast, one is so slow, or one contributes to growth, one doesn't, right? We've had that. Okay. Sangeeta, I will get back to you on your doubt. Yes? Okay. Ma'am, I forgot. Ma'am, I forgot differences between mitosis and meiosis. What is mitosis? I forgot. Students, closer to board exam, don't tell me this. Okay. Those of you who are asking me, B is getting 43%, okay, but A is not far behind. Which means, yeah, Komal, you can send it once I finish this question, right? After I finish this, you can ask me that. Okay, which means that we are sure both statements are correct. Now, what is mitosis? We know that mitosis that is there is a cell division where if we have a parent cell, and let's say it has 46 chromosomes, right? Then we see that the offsprings or the daughter cells will have the same number of chromosomes. So it is equational division. And we see that the daughter cells are same as the parent cell. While in meiosis, right, what do we see in meiosis? If we have a parent cell, then we see that the daughter cell that is there, we see that in meiosis, the number of chromosomes will become half, which is something that we see only in the sex cells or the reproductive cells, right? So that is what we understand as mitosis and meiosis, yes? So in mitosis, a diploid condition is maintained, while in meiosis, haploid condition is maintained. Now, assertion statement says that in vegetative reproduction, which is nothing but vegetative propagation, we can preserve the characteristics of the parent. If you want to keep the same character as the parent, we should do vegetative propagation, right? So that is true. Yes, that statement is also true. Now my point here is vegetative propagation is also a type of asexual reproduction. Do you all agree with me on that? Vegetative propagation is a type of asexual reproduction, which means that if you look at the reason, asexual reproduction involves only mitosis. Isn't that also true? In all cases, in asexual reproduction, we see that it involves only mitosis, which means that now both our statements are true. So step number 1 is to identify and look at them as individual statements and see whether they are true or false, right? So they are true or false. Now step number 2. Step number 2 is, how do you know if it is the correct reason, right? How do you know it is the correct reason? Ask yourself why. Why is it that through vegetative propagation, I am able to preserve my parental characteristics? Is the reason answering the assertion? Yes? Is the reason answering the assertion? You tell me in the live chat now. Is it answering? Yes or no? Ma'am, I don't know. What's your opinion? If you tell me no also, I'm fine with it. If you tell me, ma'am, no, I don't agree with you, it's okay. See, if I ask you, in vegetative propagation, how are you able to preserve the characteristics, right? How are you able to preserve it? You can tell me many things. But the main final answer is that the DNA copying mechanism, right? We see that the genetic information is made, there's no mixing of characters, right? Multiple answers are there. There's no mixing of characters. But end mein, what do we see? We see that in this case, because mitosis or the way asexual reproduction takes place, the kind of cell division we observe during asexual reproduction is mitotic division, which is why it actually justifies in this case. Now there are multiple ways in which it can be justified, right? It can be multiple ways in which I can justify my assertion. But if my existing one justifies it, then I'm fine, I'm happy, right? Which is why the correct answer is option A. Very good, Subhash, Udbhav. Ma'am, but there's no bean. How? No cell division in vegetative propagation, you tell me. If you have taken one stem cutting and you've put it, has it magically come out of nowhere, the remaining plant? It will grow through cell division only, no? Right? It will go through cell division. It suddenly will not come up. Obviously, cell division is there. Okay. Now it has changed a little bit. Okay, very good. Awesome. Komal has been asking me this question, right? Komal has asked me this question. Okay, let me write this down. And let's one for the team. So there's a lot of concentration, difference in concentration of ion was observed by a scientist between the fluid of xylem root cells. Okay, so we see that there is difference in concentration of ion between xylem cells and soil. Okay, now what are they saying? R is telling that xylem cells, okay, xylem cells in roots of plant with soil, okay, plants with soil take up ions. But I think some part of the question is missing, right? Some part of this question is missing. So now it's telling that xylem cells that are there, right? So the difference in concentration of ions between, let's say, the cells inside the root and outside help with absorption, right? Yes, it helps with absorption because that concentration difference is necessary. So through active transport, we are able to take up the ions, but this concentration difference helps in absorbing water as well. Creates an osmotic pressure, right? Reason being, I feel like reason may some of the part of the question is missing because it's telling xylem cells in roots of plants with soil take up ion with soil. I don't know what you mean by it, right? But in this case, we see that they're able to take up the ions, right? So concentration difference, yes, it is able to take it up. Through active transport, it is able to absorb it, right? So in this case, A would be the answer. Yes. Okay. Now shall we move on to question number 10? Yes. Lymph, may I have one question, everybody? So you can give me the answer then, right? Okay. Now let's move on to the next question. This is a very simple question and you don't even need me to give the, you don't even need me to give options. Events that do not occur during photosynthesis. What are the events that do not occur during photosynthesis? Yes. Very good, very good. Ma'am, bring hard questions. I will, but I also want to give you easy questions so that you feel good, right? Most likely, Subhash, next week, I might be taking that class on assertion reason. So I'll do exclusive 30 questions, only assertion reason, right? Then we'll also have PYQ practice. We have so much in store for you. You guys have no idea. It's going to only be practice, practice, practice now. Awesome. So now we know that the correct answer is option B, right? During photosynthesis, chlorophyll is what absorbs the solar energy. We know that oxygen is released as a byproduct. Carbon dioxide is necessary for the product. And what do we have? We have carbon dioxide, right? This is not an event. Carbon dioxide is not released during photosynthesis, but rather this is released during respiration, which is why in this case the correct answer is option B. Simple, right? Now we'll move on to question number 11. Now this particular question is a PYQ. A very similar question had appeared in your board exams, right? Last year your seniors had this. So assertion A says that in amoeba uses finger-like extensions of the cell surface to take up food. Reason being that all unicellular organisms, food is taken up using the entire cell surface. Yes? This is a very simple one. I will give you the poll because I know I'm going to get a multitude of answers. Somebody is asking me what is with ma'am's voice. Ma'am has now transcended into a new era of hers, right? I will not call it a comeback era or anything else, but yeah, my voice is going through some changes. I don't know what era to call it just yet. Okay, what is mutation, Harshit? Mutation is basically when there is a modification at a genetic level, right? Which could be caused due to multiple reasons, could be caused due to external chemicals, could be caused due to some DNA copying error, right? In such cases, when there's an alteration We call that as mutation. Yes. Significance of transpiration. Transpiration helps in, significance is that it has a cooling effect on the plant body. In taller plants, we see that transpiration pull is also what helps with absorption of water, right? It's my vocal era. Yes, Aditya, you're right. It's my vocal era right now. It's my sick era. Thanks, guys. Thanks much. Okay. I'll take that question as well, Ashwini. Just give me 1 minute. Many of you have got this correctly. Correct answer is option C, right? Amoeba uses finger-like extensions. True, right? Because we know that amoeba have finger-like we know that amoeba is a unicellular organism which has no definite shape. And when it comes in contact with a food, we know that it makes finger-like projections using its pseudopodia. And we see that they will meet at one point, resulting in the formation of a food vacuole, right? Now, this statement is true. But reason says that all unicellular organisms use the entire cell surface. That is not the case. Because if you look at paramecium, we know that there is a specific point through which they take up their own food, right? Which is why in this case, if you see, the correct answer here is option C, where A is true while R is false. Because all unicellular organisms don't do that. Paramecium exactly have a specific location from which it enters. So just based on that, we see that the correct answer is option C. Yes? Ma'am, how R is false? Because all unicellular organisms don't do that, no? Paramecium does not have pseudopodia. Paramecium has a specific groove through which it enters, or a specific part, which is why in this case the correct answer is C. Yes? Sangeeta, I will get back to you because at this point I'm not able to recall what that is, which is why I will come back to you on that. Yes? Okay. Very good, Komal, Shreyas, yes. Okay. I will. Let's go on to next question. Is another assertion reason question for all of you. Today's class will be longer, so in case if you have something else, come back and watch the recorded video, right? This is a very interesting question. Mendel in his experiment selected only 2 characters of seed. Reason being that he studied only a single character at one time. Those of you who will misread the question will give me the answer wrong. Pause and read the question. So the poll is live, students. Ma'am, A, since it's monohybrid, okay. Ma'am, C, Harshit says it is C, okay. Welcome, Pranchi. Welcome. I go with, when I saw this question only, I knew that you'll all get confused, which is why I wanted to bring this question. This will go to show how many of you have read the option clearly. Ma'am, 7 characteristics are there, okay. Now read the question. Mendel in his experiment selected only 2 characters of seed. I'm just going to take a minute so that you all answer. Okay. How many of you think this is a very confusing question? Ma'am, now I know the right one after reading it. See, I'll tell you something. There are 2 ways to interpret this question. But if you look at it both ways also, it will be correct. Now, I'll tell you 2 ways of... I'll tell you 2 ways of interpreting this, right? So one way is if you look at it in the dihybrid angle, right? If you look at it in the dihybrid angle, we see that for a dihybrid cross, he selected 2 characters of seed. Now remember, when you look at the characteristics of P, right? All of you open up Google, your textbook, wherever. So if you look at the characteristics that he picked, there were 7 contrasting characters. But if you look for seed, right, there are only 2. For seed, there are only 2, right? So we see that there's seed shape and there is seed color. There's nothing else for seed. There are 2. There is about the pod size, placement of the flower, and then of course we have height, right? So there are only 2 contrasting characters when it comes to the seed, yes? So if you look at it in any angle, whether in a dihybrid angle or in a generic 7 contrasting characters angle, this statement is true. Now, can I say that he studied only one single character at a time? Only. It's a different thing when I say he studied a character at a time. No, he studied it, but if he took up one character only, right? That's not the case, because that would be a mono-hybrid cross. But he's also studied 2 characters at one go, right? He's also done dihybrid crosses. Yes? Yes or no? Do you all agree with me? He's also done dihybrid cross, which means that can I say he has only studied a single character at a time? Nahi na, I can say that he's done crosses where he's observed one character. Then he has done another one where he has observed 2 characters, which is a dihybrid cross. Yes? So in this case, is this particular statement true? No, it is not. The reason is false. Yes? Which means in this case, the correct answer is option C, right? Which is why in this particular case, the correct answer is C. Yes? How are we feeling about this question? Somebody is giving me, all of you don't do this inky pinky ponky. Ma'am, so I think we have both mono and C. I'll tell you, I know that. Now let's look at Mendel. What did Mendel do? Yes, this is Mendel. Way back in that time, he wanted to study the pattern of inheritance. So what did he do? He took a pea plant. Now why did he take pea plant? Because they had contrasting characters, right? And what were the contrasting characters that he studied? He studied the height, seed shape, seed color, flower color, then there was flower position, then there were 2 which were based on the pod, right, which I don't remember right now. Yes, so in this particular question, in this particular case, if you look specific to seed, right, specific to seed, if you see, there are only 2. Now you can look at it in 2 ways. If you wanted to study dihybrid cross, he takes 2 characters. Or if you look at characteristics of seed in general, he's taken only 2, right? Which is why we see that the statement is true irrespective. While on the other hand, if you see, can I say that Mendel has only done crosses where he has studied one character at a time? Nahi na. But rather, if you see, he has also studied 2 characters. Which is why in this case, we see that the correct answer is C. Yes? My God, all of you have gotten little sad after looking at this question. Ma'am, Mendel looks sad. I feel like Harshit is very happy because Harshit got it right. Yeah, Aditya, Mendel chose 4 characters out of the 7. But in that, when you look at the characteristics with respect to seed, aren't there only 2? Yes or no? Aren't there only 2? Do you agree with me on that? Yes? Ashwini, I will take your doubt on this. No, nobody's telling me that I am going to fail and all, right? Please don't say that, guys. See, I'm trying to give you all the questions right now so that you guys are exposed to all possible questions from every question bank out there, right? So I am trying my best to make it a point that you guys don't get surprised in the board exam. ये question आया, I've solved it. This kind of question has come, I know it, right? Which is why I'm making you go through all kinds of questions. Yes? Characters are basically, so if you look at a character is basically something that is observable, right? So if you look at height or eye color, those are all characters which you see in everyone. But characters can have alternative forms. Those alternative forms of characters is what we call as a trait. Yes? Pisum sativum is the scientific name. Okay? Awesome. I will try my best to be faster, Rishi. I will try my best, right? No, you guys have mastered heredity. I'm telling you the remaining questions, you will get it correctly. This was a question which I picked up from your practice paper. Practice paper question from heredity. If you have all solved practice paper, you should give me the answer, right? A trait may be inherited but not expressed. Oh, good question. Ritika, I will come back to that, right? Okay. So everyone, jaldi give me the answer to this. Let me have the poll ready. See, if you are enjoying these questions, don't forget to hit the like button on this video, right? So let's interpret this. Let's see what all of you are. Doubt on history. I think I've read the question incompletely, but I'll take that. See, if you've solved the practice paper, you should all be able to give me the answer. Okay, let me. Okay, so we see that in cattle, if they have a recessive trait H, it means that having horns. Now, ideally, if something is there, that means we associate it with dominance. So, having horns is a recessive trait, while not having horns is a dominant trait. Now, when cattle having horns are crossed with those that do not have horns, the number of offsprings, which are basically they're saying, when will it be possible that you get the same number, 50% of having horns versus not having, right? That means that in your final, when will you get 50-50? When you're saying it is equal, backtrack it. It means that it should be like, so here you will have this, and here you will have this or this, right? Yes or no? Yes or no? You all agree with me, right? Now let's look at it. We know that if this has to come, one parent has to be homozygous recessive. Yes? Okay? Now let's backtrack. If my parent is homozygous dominant, forget having or not having horns. We will do it as dominant and recessive, right? Now, if my parent is homozygous dominant, it means that in this particular case, if they are homozygous dominant and homozygous recessive, I will get everything which is heterozygous dominant. It's not 50-50 case, right? It is not 50-50 case. Which is why, when can it be 50-50? When this right here is heterozygous. When one parent is heterozygous. So in that case, what will happen? If one parent is heterozygous, then we will get this condition. You are all with me? Yes? Let's go back to our options. Both parents are homozygous dominant? No. If one parent is homozygous dominant? No. If both parents are heterozygous? No. Again, you will get it in 3:1 ratio if both are heterozygous. Which is why what will be the answer here? The answer here will be option D, right? So correct answer here will be option D, where one parent is heterozygous and the other one is homozygous. Are we clear? Ma'am, why not C? Why can it be not C? Let's see. They're saying both C is both parents are heterozygous. Okay. Let's take that scenario. We need to get 50-50, right? So let's take this. Now what am I getting? I'm getting 3 that are dominant, right? I'm getting 3 which are dominant, and I'm getting only 1. So I'm getting a 75:25 ratio. 75%, 25%, right? Which is why in this case, if you see, the correct answer is option D. Yes? Why not B? If one is homozygous dominant, I told you. If one is dominant, there is only one which is dominant. All will be heterozygous. So no, cross. Yes? Are we clear now? Awesome. Are we feeling good about heredity questions? That's what I want. Okay. We'll do it. We'll have all those classes coming very soon. Don't worry. Now we have last few questions, right? Last 2 objective questions. 1 more hour may we should be done, right? I mean, half an hour to 40 minutes we should be done. Yes? Like target should be 250. So jaldi say go ahead and hit the like button. Yes? Awesome. 4 statements are given to us from which you need to tell me which are true. Statement 1 says that sudden action in response to something, let's say externally, is called as reflex action. Sensory neurons carry information from spinal cord to muscles. Motor neurons carry information from receptor, not from receptor to the effector. Or shortest path taken by an impulse during a reflex action is called a reflex arc. Okay, I think the previous poll is still running, so let me please end that. And in the meanwhile, you can give me the answer. This should be easy. I knew it. Those of you who are making the mistake was the exact mistake that I knew you guys will make. Students, read the question. Raja, I'll give you the answer. मैम अगर 3 में रिसेप्टर की जगह Subhash, not exactly. You've made one small mistake in that. In what you've given me as the answer, you've made one small mistake. You've changed the right thing, but what you have replaced it with is also incorrect. That is why. Think once again. Ma'am, muscle is equal to effector. Yes, it is Dracula play. Ma'am, are there short tricks? Rishi, I've taken a session on how to solve them. You can watch that video on the channel. It will definitely help you approach such questions. Okay. All the best for your pre-boards. Come back and watch later. Sensory neuron, I'll tell you. Awesome. Majority of you have got the correct answer. The correct answer here is option C, right? Now, sudden action. So the word or the keyword here is sudden, right? So we know that a reflex action is an immediate, sudden response to an external stimulant, right? So in this particular case, this statement is true. Now we have sensory neurons, right? So sensory neurons are responsible for taking information from the receptor all the way to the central nervous system, right? So they are responsible for transmitting information from receptor to central nervous system, not vice versa. Now from central nervous system, information has to go to the effector. Because let's say the receptor is what perceives the stimulus, that oh, some stimulus is there, right? So the receptor will perceive it or understand what is happening. Then from here it will pass the message to the sensory neuron and then to the central nervous system. In this case, spinal cord. Now inside here we have the relay neuron that connects the two. And finally from the central nervous system, the motor neuron takes the information. Right? So when you are replacing it, it should be motor neuron. I mean, you should replace the word, in this case, from CNS to effector, right? Which is why we know that this also is false. Shortest path is what we call as a reflex arc. True, right? The shortest path taken is what we call as reflex arc. So correct answer here is 1 and 4. Himani, sensory and motor both play a role from receptor to effector. Yes, it does, right? Both, you need your sensory neurons and your motor neurons together to transmit the information. But you cannot say that one, let's say only sensory neuron is responsible or only motor neuron. So that is why in this case 2 and 3 are incorrect, right? Sajal, going on, getting better. ठीक है. Last question, last objective question, and we will move on to subjective questions. Yes? Yeah, I'll clear my throat. Okay, let's have a look, everyone. So you have a diagram given to you, right? You have a diagram given to you which is of the heart, and focus. It is showing arrows here and arrows here. So identify the phase of circulation which is represented in the diagram given above. Arrows indicate contraction of the chamber, which means that the lower chambers are contracting. So based on this, can you tell me what is the answer? Let me give you the poll. Read the options. It is very easy. This is not tough. Looks fancy, but it's very easy. Bhavang. Harshit, increase the, what do you say? Increase the settings. You will be able to see. This is easy. You guys will all be able to give me the answer. Ashvi, don't complicate it so much. Lower chambers. What are the lower chambers? What are the lower chambers? You all tell me that lower chambers of the heart are. Lower chambers of the heart is equal to what? I'm waiting for the answer. Very good. This is the ventricle, right? So when the ventricles contract, which means both your right ventricle and your left ventricles are contracting, right? So when your right ventricle contracts, blood is transferred to the right ventricle at that point? No. When they contract means they are the ones pumping it out, right? So no. It is transferring it back to the atrium? No. It is receiving it. So when they contract, are they receiving something? No. I always tell you, if the word receive is there, it means it is the atrium, right? So the upper chambers are the atria. So they are the ones who do the receiving, right? They are the ones who do the receiving. So here, ventricles don't do it. When ventricles contract, what happens? We see that they are pumped. So the word pump is your key word, right? When will the heart pump it outside? They will pump it outside when the ventricles contract. So in this case, we see that the right ventricle contracts and sends it to the lungs for oxygenation. Left ventricle contracts, sends oxygenated blood to different parts of the body. Which is why in this case, we see that the correct answer is option B. Yes? So with this, everybody, I know I've taken about 1 hour to do 15 questions, but I think it's a very reasonable time that I've taken to do these questions because they were not easy, right? They were not easy questions. We still have our subjective questions to go, but on a scale of 1 to 10, how did you like the questions? Yes? Did you like these questions? Did you feel like they were easy, but also challenging, which also made you think that you can, you can work on it and you feel... I would say that when you encounter such challenging questions, right, I always feel like it should make you feel that you have the ability to tackle these questions. Ma'am, 0. Oh, who's telling the 0? 10 out of 10, 8 out of 10. No, ma'am, I need to prepare more. Yes. See, all these questions are here to kind of tell you that. See, firstly, most of you think, Arey ma'am, where will I find the PYQ? Which reference book to refer to? Should I buy this book? Should I buy that book? Which is most helpful for me? Let me do the worrying. right? Let me do the worrying, where I take up all the reference books, I make up all the possible questions, go to all possible repositories. But my job when I come in front of you is to give you the best quality questions. So that yes, some questions can be vague, some questions can be debatable, some questions can be very simple, some could be super tough. But the end of the day, as long as all of you are learning, preparing, it is motivating you. Which means tomorrow when you see that board exam paper, now that you've seen all the possible horrendous questions in front of you, right? When you see that board exam paper, you will come and tell me, ma'am, bio was easy. I'm getting 30 out of 30. That is my job, right? My job is to make sure that you come back after writing your science exam and you tell me, ma'am, thank you for giving me all sorts of nonsense questions that could have possibly been there, because now when I saw my board paper, I was able to solve it, right? So that is what I need you all to feel when you see such questions. Don't run away from it. Yes? Okay. So now the time, of course, is 9:10, 9:12 actually. How about we take about a 8-minute break in between so that we resume at 9:20? Are we all good with that? Yes? Shall we resume at 9:20 p.m.? Are we good to go? Because as you all know, I cannot take it continuously. I'll have to take a break in between. I know you don't need it, but I would need it. Which is why take an 8-minute break, stretch out a little. If you want to have dinner and bring it, it's okay, bring it. We will finish off the remaining class, right? So we will resume again at 9:20 p.m. Yes? Okay. Up until then, students, take a break and come back. Yes? Okay. Awesome, all of you. Welcome back. Yes, it's 9:20. We are back. Now we will pick up the pace a little bit with our subjective questions because these subjective questions are going to be easy ones only. Just one or two are slightly difficult. I'll give you a heads up. But the remaining bits of it are simple. Yes? Which is why we are going to go over these questions and you give me the keywords, right? Ma'am, ab bahut choti ho ya. I know I'm very small. Okay, so you just need to give me the keywords and we're going to pick up the pace. And later on, what I want you all to do, right, is to practice writing. See, one thing with biology is that we tend to think that, array, it's okay, if I know the concept, it's fine. But writing answers is going to be a skill, which is why later on, once the session is over, I request all of you to make it a point that you all write down the important points, just as we have discussed, right? Okay, so in the live chat, you can give me keywords, but later on go back and write the answer. Yes? Awesome. Let's go on to question number 16, everybody. This is a 2-mark question which will come in section B. Give 2 reasons as to why bile juice is considered to be an important secretion of the liver in the process of digestion. 2 marks. That means you need to give me 2 pointers. 1 mark for the first reason, 1 more point for the other one, right? So can you give me the 2 points quickly? Very good, Akshara. Very good. Yes. Very good, Subhash. Yes, Lavanya. More sessions will come. Yes, Ashvi. Kichachus. Very good. Yes, Sanjeev. Very good, Adrina. Awesome. I can see the answers coming my way and many of you have given the answer, right? Very good, Ritika. Awesome. Now, when you talk about bile, we know that bile is produced by the liver, right? And one of the main functions of bile is to facilitate emulsification. Now, what is emulsification? Emulsification is where large globules of fat are broken down into smaller droplets so that pancreatic enzymes like pancreatic lipase can act upon it. So that is the first reason. Now, the second reason is that in order for pancreatic enzymes to work, the medium needs to be alkaline. Now, the food is journeying or it is coming from the stomach where it has been made acidic, right, because of the secretion of HCl. Now, from here, it will reach the small intestine. And in the initial part of the small intestine, it will still be acidic. So, pancreatic enzymes cannot act. But when bile juice is added to the mixture, it makes it alkaline so that pancreatic enzymes can act upon it. So when you're writing the answer, you need to write it in the following manner. Bile juice is considered to be an important secretion because, right? Because of 2 reasons. They play a key role in emulsification. If you just write that, half mark only. You have to tell me what is emulsification. Then only 1 mark here. Then the second answer that it makes the medium alkaline. Very good. So if you write both of this down, you will get 2 marks. Yes? Are we good? You can quickly send me a CC in the live chat to let me know that we can move on to the next question. Yes? More than basic, you can basic medium or you can write down alkaline medium. Bile salt, you can mention. Yes. All good. Amazing. Amazing. Let's go on to the next one, which is a 2-mark question. I purposely added this question because all of your universal doubt is on this topic. What is another name for tissue fluid? Write down its 2 functions. Yes? And what happened to your neck? I think what happened to my throat, right? But yeah, I had laryngitis. I'm still recovering. Very good. MCQ ho gaya bacha. Just rewind back and watch the MCQs. Okay. Now, I will tell you. Yeah, Subhash, you're right. Actually, that is the correct one, right? Lymph or plasma. Oh. Everybody, go and get your NCRT. Where's your textbook? Go and get NCRT textbook. Go get NCRT textbook and come, and then you write the answer. Those of you who are giving me question marks. Srimai, I know, I'm recovering. You get it and come, and then I want the answers. Is it blood plasma? Is it blood plasma alone? Can you say plasma alone? Shreyas, I'll explain it in the end of the class as to what happened. Now you tell me the answer. Spelling is wrong, Subhash, actually. Yes, spelling is wrong. I just saw the spelling now, actually. Okay, now let me come back and let me explain this part. Now, we know that in, let's say, our blood capillaries, right? So, in our blood capillaries, there are chances through which, due to high blood pressure, we know that certain components of the blood ooze out, right? So, they ooze out, yes? Now, when they ooze out, what will happen? We know that the components that come out are plasma, or it will be plasma, it will be WBCs, and some amount of proteins that are there, they also ooze out, right? Because of the high pressure through which the blood comes, yes? Now, because of this, what will happen? When they're coming out, let's say, of the blood vessels or through the capillaries, we see that it is now going to go and it will be around, right? So, if these are my cells, right? So, if these are my cells, we see that this fluid that is there will surround it, right? It will surround it. Now, this is what we call as tissue fluid. I will call it as extracellular fluid, right? So, when I say extracellular, that means it is outside the cell. So, extracellular, yes? Or another name for it is interstitial. Interstitial fluid, right? It is also called as interstitial fluid. Now, my problem with NCRT, right? My problem with NCRT is that it outright says, right? It outright says that it is also called as lymph. So, if you go to your NCRT textbook, yes, it says that there's one more kind of fluid in the body, which is called as tissue fluid or lymph, yes? How many of you are able to see that? How many of you are able to see that line? I think I have the NCRT open in my textbook, yeah. It's open in my laptop here. It says that there is another type of fluid also involved in transportation. This is called as lymph or tissue fluid. Through the pores of the capillaries, all this escapes, and in the intercellular spaces, right? Extracellular, between the cells, to form tissue fluid or lymph again, right? Now, that is my problem with NCRT, because we will call it lymph when it drains into the lymphatic vessels, right? When this tissue fluid drains into these lymphatic vessels, as you see. So, these blue dots that you see right here is your tissue fluid, right? But when it drains into that is when we call it as lymph. But now your NCRT is telling you slightly differently, which is why when you are writing the answer, which page number? I think I have the old NCRT. Old NCRT mein it's 108. Okay. So in such cases, what is my problem? My problem is if you don't write it as per NCRT, you can lose marks, right? You can lose marks if you don't write it as per NCRT in some cases, right? Which is why when you are writing the answer, what is the other name for tissue fluid? Tissue fluid is also known as interstitial fluid or lymph. Write both. Don't be like, ma'am, NCRT में lymph है तो मैं lymph लिखूंगा. नहीं. Write both, right? Write both the pointers. Mention that it is interstitial fluid, also known as lymph as per NCRT. Which is why I recommend that you stick to it and don't digress, right? Now the next question that they're asking is write the two functions. Now this becomes again a little bit of murky area, because do you write function of lymph or do you write function of the interstitial fluid, right? So that becomes a little bit tricky. So what can you do in such cases? What is the main function of lymph? Now the main function of lymph that is there is to help in transportation of fat. It is responsible for making sure that it transports oxygen to maybe parts that it otherwise cannot reach, plays a key role in defense, all of that. But in this case, what can you do? We can see that one way of ulat pulat ke writing answer, right? See, we see that when tissue fluid is drained into the lymphatic vessel, it helps in transport of fat. So now am I incorrect about tissue fluid? No, right? I'm still giving the function, but I am I would say conceptually I am correct when I write it that way. Because if I say tissue fluid is responsible for transport of fat, it is not entirely correct because it's a function of lymph, right? So I am saying that tissue fluid, when it drains into the lymphatic vessels, is then responsible for transportation of fat, right? Then along with that, we see that whatever excess, let's say another function is to keep the cells in and around moist. Then we also see that excess fluid, which has your proteins, hormones and other substances, we see that it is responsible for making sure that it goes back into the blood, right? So that is why if you see, this is little bit of a murky area when you write the answer, right? Just one second. Yeah, this is the, yeah. So in this case, when you are writing the answer, elaborate it in such a way and keep the pointers as indirect as possible. Yes, are we clear? Okay. I do that because I have a lot of new kids who come in, right? See, if you have not started studying biology, now is the best time to start studying biology, right? Because if you go later than this, then all the chapters are going to scare you. So study biology now itself, watch the one-shot videos and you will be able to understand. Ma'am, how is plasma different from tissue fluid? See, this is my blood. This is my blood. There is plasma. There is WBC. There is platelet. There is RBC. Now, what will ooze out of my capillaries? My plasma and WBCs. So my tissue fluid not only has plasma, which is the fluid component of blood, it has WBCs, it has proteins, it has various other substances, which is why I cannot say that plasma and tissue fluid is the same. Are we clear now? Yes? Are we all clear with this question? This is little bit, I say, not direct, but it's a little bit of an indirect question. Yes? Thank you. Okay. Shall we move on? Are we good to go? Vedan, what happened? Ma'am, how to represent blood groups in heredity? Chances of you getting blood group questions are very less. But I will tell you that towards the end if you don't mind. Yes? Sharon interstitial fluid is also known as your tissue fluid, right? So quickly to recall, when we have our blood. So again, I'm going to do this very quickly. So these are our capillaries, right? How are our capillaries formed? Our capillaries are formed by the branching of the arteries, right? Arteries will branch out, form arterioles. Then after that, they will finally form arteries. They will finally form capillaries. Now through the arteries, blood comes in high pressure, which is why what happens is because of this pressure, some components, right? Some components of the blood will ooze out. What components will come out? It will be your plasma, your WBC, your some proteins, all this will come out. Now what has happened? Where it's coming out? It's all coming out and it is going outside the blood vessel. Now what is outside the capillaries? My cells are here outside, right? So now what is happening? All whatever has oozed out, all these components, right? All the components that are there, they are the ones who are now it is surrounding the cells. Yes. Now whatever is surrounding, right? We call this as tissue fluid, right? We call this as tissue fluid or interstitial fluid. Yes. Why is it called as tissue fluid? Because it is surrounding the cells. Yes. Now, it cannot be that all this is oozing out and our cells are just floating in some fluid. It has to go back somewhere, right? Which is why all this fluid is then coming here and it will go and it will form lymph. So lymph is effectively made up of plasma, WBC and proteins. Yes? Okay. Are we clear? See, when you talk about a trait might be inherited but not expressed, Ritika, it is because or it is with respect to your recessive trait. A recessive trait can be inherited but it cannot be expressed. So it is with respect to homozygosity and heterozygosity. Epidermal peel, A, B, C, D. Water. It should be, wait, 1 second. Liquid used for putting before placing cover slip. It should be water, right? So that you can observe it. Awesome. So, shall we move on, everyone? Shall we move on? You have to write 2 points in order to get 2 marks. Yes? Okay. Lymph, Raja, I have just explained. The whole thing that I've explained is just about lymph. In case if you have not understood, you can watch my one-shot video. I'll put the link of that in the comments. Yes? Hello, Hannah. Hello. Actually, little star I'm answering it in quite a bit of a hurry. So, Ashwini, can I get back to you on that question? If you don't mind. Yeah, I'll have to cross-check it once. I'm in such a hurry to give the answer. So, if you don't mind, can I come back to you on that? I'll just check and come. Suddenly, I feel like I've forgotten things. Okay. I will give you that towards the end, Sriram. So you have a table given to us with their food sources, right? You have organism and food source. Now what they're asking us here is name the primary consumers in the ecosystem, and they're asking you one more. So this is 1 mark. 1 mark for telling me what is the percentage of energy transferred. Easy peasy. Okay. Shahid, I'm not ignoring you. Really sorry if that is how you felt. I was not ignoring. Very good. We're talking about primary consumers. So then look at who is eating the producer. I've already told you this. Who is eating the producer? So here we have grass, right? And it is cricket and grasshopper. Very good. 1 mark for that. It is cricket and grasshopper. Yes, 1 mark for that. What percentage of energy is transferred to the snake? Yes. What percentage is transferred? This is very easy. Very good. It is 10%, right? It doesn't matter whether it's from primary to secondary, secondary to tertiary, or it is from, producer to, let's say from producer to primary consumer, whatever it is. At every level, we see that only 10% of the energy is transferred. So the correct answer here is 10. So you'll get 1 mark for this, 1 mark for this, 2 marks, easy peasy. Yes? Very simple and easy, right? Circulation, I will explain in some time. Now we will move on to my 3 mark questions, right? Ma'am, how did we find this out? I knew somebody will ask me this. Because see, it doesn't matter. They are not asking you, they have not given you any initial value, right? That producer made 10,000 joules or 10,000 kilojoules. They are just asking you what is the percentage that gets transferred. So you don't need to even do any calculation. Directly just write down saying 10%. That's all. Yes? Okay. So now let's move on to question number 19, everybody. Little star, that was called as the 10% law. Yes? Okay. Now let's move on to question number 19. This is also very simple. Name the gland and the hormone secreted in a secreted by it during a scary situation in human beings. List down 2 responses. So you will get 1 mark for telling me what is the gland, 1 mark for telling me what is the hormone. You will get 1 mark for telling me the 2 responses, half and half. Or one more way is they will give you half mark here, and 2 marks here. Okay, whatever the marks distribution, right? So which is the gland here? Very good. So we know that the gland here is nothing but the adrenal gland, which produces the adrenaline hormone, right? Now what happens during such cases? We see that what are the 2 responses that we see in our body? Very good, very good. Yes, so we see that there is increase in blood pressure. Epinephrine also, yes, very good. High BP, increase in heart rate, yes. So we see that there is increased heart rate, increased breathing rate. And of course, we know that more of our body starts producing, breaks down glycogen into glucose, right? So we see that more of stored glycogen is broken down into glucose so that it makes it available for our body, right? Which is why in this particular case, the correct answer is this. You can write any 2 out of the 3, 4 that we discussed. Yes? So you will get, let's say, 1 mark for this and 2 mark for this. Thereby 3 marks aram se you will be able to get it, right? Ma'am, aren't the... One second, Little Star has asked me a good question. Ma'am, aren't the increase the response? Increase is the response, right? So you have to tell what increases. Yes, so that's what you'll have to mention. What is the one that increases? You'll have to also mention why we do that so that there's a fight or flight response of the body, also known as emergency hormone. Yes, glycogen ka spelling you will have to... Subhash, don't need to get so specific with which hormone is doing that and all. You can just tell. Myxoedema and cretinism, Sharon, are caused by deficiency of thyroxine hormone. But cretinism is seen in young children. Myxoedema is seen in older people. Yes? Insulin, glucagon, Ashwini, insulin is responsible for converting excess glucose into glycogen. And glucagon is responsible for converting glycogen into glucose, right? So basically insulin helps in the uptake of the glucose helps the cells take up the glucose. Yes? Okay. So now we will move on to question number 20, everybody. So question number 20, which is a 3 marker. This is a slightly, I would say, tougher question, right? Slightly tougher question. What are chromosomes? And explain how the stability of DNA is ensured in sexually reproducing organisms. Yes, Zakir, I will do that. But it's important that I answer the doubts. Otherwise, if I don't answer, you will be like, ma'am, what are you doing? You are not teaching me properly. You didn't answer my doubts. So I'm finding the right balance between the two. But yes, I will pick up the pace. 10 more questions. Ho jayega jaldi jaldi. Very good. Chromosomes are highly condensed forms of DNA. So we know that DNA is the genetic material, and we know that in order for it to exist within the cell, DNA is condensed to form chromosomes, right? Now, personally, I don't accept this thread-like structure concept, because if you look at the condensation of DNA, if you see thread-like structures are basically the chromatin material. Chromosomes are more rod-like, which is why personally on a conceptual level, I prefer that you write that chromosomes are highly condensed forms of DNA, right? Now we're talking about what establishes, right? What establishes stability of DNA in a sexually reproducing organism? Yes. What is responsible for it? There's actually only one keyword. Ma'am, samajh mein nahi aaya. Koi nahi. We'll do it once again. Are we clear? Yes, Alok. Yes. Are we clear with this so far? We are clear as to what are chromosomes, right? Chromosomes are basically these highly condensed forms. Now, DNA that is there is a double helical structure, but it's very long, cannot fit inside the cell as it is, which is why it needs to get condensed with the help of proteins and other substances in order to form chromosomes. So that's how they are made inside your nucleus. Now they're asking you, how does stability of a DNA, that means that if there is a parent and an offspring, how is it that the stability of the DNA is ensured? Yes? It's okay. If you've not understood the second part, it's okay, but chances of this coming will be very important, right? Now, there are 2 aspects to this, right? There are 2 aspects. One, you will have to talk about how is the stability maintained in sexually reproducing organisms. Point number 1 that you will write is that DNA copying takes place, right? So DNA copying mechanism happens where the DNA or the information in the DNA is copied from parent so that it can go to offspring. So yes, DNA copying is also there. But in sexually reproducing organisms, we have one more challenge. That is that if we have chromosomes, we know that in sexually reproducing organisms, both gametes are going to come together. So we will have to make sure that the number of chromosomes are maintained from generation after generation. So thereby, apart from DNA copying, we also have to ensure that the chromosome number is maintained. How do we maintain this chromosome number? By meiotic division. So you will have to write these 2 pointers down. Those are your 2 key words. Cell division, you will have to write about mitotic, right? Okay, ma'am, only half number of chromosomes are transferred. No, half number of chromosomes from one parent. So in sexually reproducing organisms, the offspring gets one set of chromosomes from the father, one from the mother. Yes, DNA copying and DNA replication are the same thing. DNA copying, easy word. DNA replication, technical term. Yes, are we clear? It is meiotic division, Jita, not mitotic, because in sex cells or reproductive cells, it has to be the meiotic division. Why do we do meiotic division where chromosome number becomes half? Because in sexual reproduction, we see that both male and female gamete will fuse. Yes? So many answers coming my way. See, one is you have to write about DNA copying, not just sexual reproduction. Both you will have to write. Okay, Subhash? Ma'am, DNA copying and cloning. DNA copying mechanism that is there in asex. So, I'll tell you what. Clone means that it is identical, right? It is identical. Now, in cloning, what will happen? We see that you make an identical copy. Now, in asexual reproduction, we see that DNA copying is there where you make a copy, right? That copying mechanism is happening. But in asexual reproduction, we see that a clone of the parent is made. So there in asexual reproduction, DNA copying mechanism acts as a cloning way also. But in sexual, that is not the case. Yes? Are we clear? Yeah, you just need to write about it, that's all. You don't even need to define it. So everybody take a screenshot. Yes? Take a screenshot right now of the answer. Are we clear? Ma'am, I cannot understand. Okay. I will quickly revise this I'm going to revise this one last time. Now, in sexual reproduction, we have 2 challenges, right? One is we see that, or one challenge only I will tell. So let's assume we have a parent with 24 chromosomes, right? We have a parent with 24 chromosomes, okay? The offspring also needs to have 24 chromosomes. Why? Because if the offspring has to survive, genetic information has to come from parent to offspring, which means first thing, he should copy all that information, right? He has information to, survive and be an individual or a species or an organism. So he has to copy all this information. Yes. Secondly, he needs to ensure that even this offspring has 24. But because this parent is sexually reproducing, it will come together with another parent which has 24. Now, if they come together and they, let's say, use normal cells that come together, then this offspring will not get 24 chromosomes because it will end up getting 24 from this parent, 24 from this parent, totally 48, which is some other organism altogether, and it will not survive. Which is why apart from DNA copying, it also needs to maintain the chromosome number. Now, how does it maintain? By making sure that the not DNA doesn't become half. We see that the chromosome number becomes half. Don't say DNA is becoming half. No, chromosome is becoming half. Yes, chromosome number, not even the chromosome number. Okay. So that is why we see that the stability of sexually reproducing species is maintained. Are we clear? Yes. Yeah, it's supposed to be 23 pairs, but I just changed it to make it some random organism, okay? Not because that example was not for humans. I just made some random example, okay? Yadav, this has become the most outdated thing that comes on the live chat. Not interested, like not impressed one bit. You will get the PDF on the Telegram channel. Yes? Okay. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 21. This is easy peasy question, right? 3 marker, 1 mark for telling me how paramecium. Guys, previously the example I took was some random organism. It was not humans, which is why I never use the word humans. Yes? Coming back. How does paramecium obtain its food? 1 mark. What is the role of the following? 2 marks, where you will have half mark for each. So now, of course, quickly, can you tell me about paramecium? Very good, Akshara. Specific spot with the help of cilia. So paramecium, that I feel like I've lost touch with the way I draw, you know. Very good. Why are you telling me binary fission? You're not asking reproduction. Yes. So when you talk about paramecium, we know that paramecium have these cilia and there is a specific spot or a groove through which the food enters, and the cilia moves back and forth in order to ensure that the food is taken up, right? So you will get 1 mark for telling me both these key pointers. Yes? Very good. So you will have to tell me about cilia and you will also have to tell me about the groove. And you can even write down that it's a specific spot also. Both of these work, right? So these are your keywords and you will get 1 mark for the same. Okay? Will they ask for the diagram? Chances are very less that they will ask you to draw. Okay? Somebody is asking me for a hard diagram. Chances of them asking you hard diagram is very, very slim. They will focus more on if you're able to label, let's say identify the labeled part, right? So that is more important. Next up, function of bile we have already discussed. Helps with emulsification, breaks down larger globules into smaller droplets. What is the function of pepsin? Yes, we've already discussed bile, so I know you know. Next up, what's the function of pepsin? Zakir, but time is running, so I will not take a break. I'll drink lots of water, but I'll speak softly. No problem, you too. Bye, Ritika. Come back and watch the rest, okay? Very good. Pepsin, enzyme found in the stomach, helps with the breakdown of proteins into smaller droplets, right? Or breaks down proteins into peptides and peptones. Next up, we have walls of stomach. Yeah, correct. Ashvi, that is correct. Next up, we have walls of stomach. What does the wall of stomach do? It is responsible for churning, right? Okay. No, going back, Aditya, no. Activation of pepsinogen, that is HCl. Question was not on HCl, it was on pepsin. Activation of pepsinogen into pepsin is HCl's job. Pepsin is responsible for digestion. So if you write that, you will lose marks. Okay, don't write that. Churning like peristalsis, kind of, because there's contraction and relaxation, but think of churning as, you know, movement of the walls, right? So it helps in churning and mixing of the food. Yes? Very good. Subhash, no. Third is wrong because it is not protection. Protection from HCl is mucus's function. What is the function of the wall of the stomach? The wall of the stomach is muscular, which means it helps in contraction and relaxation. Very good, Pratiti. Very good. Mix food with HCl. Which type of nutrition is seen in bacteria? Bacteria has both autotrophic and heterotrophic mode of nutrition, right? Okay. Important diagrams, Kitty, I have already done a video on the channel. Go to the video section, you will be able to find that, okay? Next up, you have pancreatic amylase, right? Pancreatic amylase specifically. So whenever amylase is there, it is for the breakdown of starch, right? So we see that starch is broken down into simple or smaller sugar molecules, or whatever remaining starch is there, it gets broken down here. Yes? Ma'am, it produces acid. Sriram, you can write that, but I prefer that it helps with the contraction part, right? So I see some of you are confused with the walls of the see, look at the question. Question is clearly telling you muscular walls of stomach. muscular walls, which means it's asking what is the function of the muscles in my stomach, which means that it helps with contraction and relaxation. Ma'am, explain specific spot. See, now unlike amoeba, your amoeba that is there, we see that it makes these finger-like projections in order to capture the food. But paramecium is not like that. Now for amoeba, it can make finger-like projection here, 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 anywhere. But paramecium is not like that. We see that this right here has a specific spot through which it will enter into the cell, right? It's a specific spot through which the food enters. Yes, tomorrow I'm taking power prep as well. Tomorrow is my first class. So if you're there, I'll be discussing a lot of more questions in power prep also. Very excited for that. Last one is pancreatic amylase, which I've already discussed. So when you're writing the answer, you will get 1 mark for this and 2 marks for this with half mark. Amrita, think of groove as a specific spot, like a door. Think of it as a door through which the food enters in the paramecium, right? So think of it as that. It should be easy. Okay? Is this CC? Are we good to go? Ashwini, I have a question on that. So I will take this question when I do that. I think it's a question after this. Awesome. This is the only one question which I have on diagrams, and my bet on this particular question is, if I were to bet, I will bet like 1 rupee on this question because I don't think this is going to come, right? But either ways, it's a 3-mark question where you have to tell me what is geotropism and draw a label diagram showing positive and negative geotropism. This is literally so easy. This is very easy, right? You will get 1 mark for telling me what is geotropism. You will get half mark or 1 mark for the diagram. You will get 1 mark for labeling, right? Scoring question. Exactly. So what is geotropism? Geotropism is a kind of trophic movement, right? Trophic movement means that it is a growth related movement. So we see that this is a growth related movement in response to gravity, right? Wherein we see that the roots that are there are positively geotrophic. That means they grow towards gravity. And we see that this right here is negatively geotrophic because it is growing in the opposite direction. Which is why in this case, if you just draw a plant and label the arrows, you have got 3 marks, right? So this shows negative geotropism and this shows positive geotropism. Yes, very, very good. Which is why, I mean, you can draw it in this manner or you can draw one straight plant also and label it. You will get the marks. 3 marks you have scored. Aram se free ka 3 marks. Yes? Okay. Ma'am, sir, abhi se kar. Yeah, you will pass. Don't worry. You will pass, but you have to put in a lot more effort. Okay, that is definitely there. Lot more effort needs to go. Ma'am, breakdown of glucose, very important. Breakdown of glucose flowchart is very, very important for respiration. Don't forget. Yes? All plants, see plants, so there are some plants which, most plants, right? If you take most plants, they will show positive geotropism for their roots. But some have aerial roots and all, right? So they may show -1. ठीक है. Okay. हाँ, तबीयत खराब है Karan, what to do? Getting better by the day. Endocytosis means, Vaishnavi, it is engulfing into the body. ठीक है? Ma'am, please revise the chapter. Naman, which one? Control coordination chapter. Do you want me to revise that? Going back, let me move on to the next one, which is question number 23. In human beings, there's a 50%. See, in one of the sets, this topic is a short topic. Those of you who have had pre-boards up until now, I am sure that you have got one question on sex determination. Yes or no? At some point, you have got a question on sex determination, which means that you know that this is a topic that you should not skip, which is why writing the answer in such cases is very, very important because it is sure shot. You will either get MCQ, you will get assertion reason, you will either get 2 marks or you will get 3-mark question on the same. Some cases, 5 marks also, which is why sex determination is a topic that you cannot skip, right? Now, in human beings, there's a 50% possibility of birth of a boy and 50 of a girl. Based on this, how does sex determination happen, right? Now we know that in human beings, there are a total of 46 chromosomes and 44 are the same in both males and females. But the last pair is what we call as the sex chromosomes, right? So you have to first write down that the 23rd pair is called as the sex chromosome, point number 1. Then write down that in males, it is the XY pair and in females, it is XX. Then after that, what do you need to do, right? Point number 3. Point number 3, you write down that no matter whether it is a boy or a girl, they will always get X chromosome, right? They will always get X chromosome from the mother. So what determines the sex of the baby? It is the father. So point number 4, you can write down, if X comes from father, then it will have XX and it is a girl. But if Y comes from father, it will be XY. Now, Ashwini, to answer your question, if for the last pair is what is involved in sex determination, what about the others? Now, we need to also have information about so many other things, right? About eye color, hair color, skin color, so many things. All that information is spread across the remaining chromosomes, which is why we don't just inherit the sex chromosomes, but we inherit the entire set. So information about different processes, different features, different characters are present in different chromosomes. Yes? So are we all clear? Yes, Naman. See, 15 days mein I am telling you, you guys have got it. Now, although I have a huge speech which is prepared for the end of the class, if you don't mind, I will do that then. Y is from father, right? Okay. Yeah, you can write those points down as well, not a problem. So when you're writing this, write all this down, you will get 3 marks. Yes? Okay. If I go to bed, who's going to teach you then? Karan, you're just sending me away saying go and sleep and take rest. Flow chart is also entertained. Flow chart is also entertained, right? I have doubt on XY pair. Yeah, tell me. Abhi Par Prep ka to registration was closed. There was so much that we were telling you, right? I have to come overly prepared. Otherwise, there are people who will come into the live chat and say this ma'am doesn't know anything. So I have to be always on my toes and, be ready to answer your questions. Okay, next question. You can give me the answer. I will take a 2-minute break and not talk, right? Old man was advised to take less sugar. Name the disease he is struggling from. Mention the hormone and tell which endocrine gland is involved. Ma'am, I feel guilty. Kyun? Why you feel guilty? Arey, see, I'll tell you something. I'm very honest about one thing, okay? I always try my best to teach and make as many students understand as possible. But I know there are some students who may not learn at one go. I may have to tell 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. But I'll tell you, I will teach you 100 times, I will teach you the same thing. But for me, as long as you learn, you go back from this class feeling, oh my God, I sat with Aishwarya ma'am for like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and I learned something. That is what matters to me more than you going back and telling, I wasted 2.5 hours with this woman. She didn't even teach me. Should not be that case, right? So whatever time you spend with me, it should be valuable because for me, your time matters. Very good. Star marks for all my students. I wish I could give stars. Now, of course, if he has to take less sugar, that means that he has increased sugar in his bloodstream. And that, of course, this condition is what we call as diabetes or diabetes mellitus. Both you will get marks. Now, this is caused. Why is there more blood? Why is there more sugar in his blood? Because hormone insulin is not working. Which organ produces it? Pancreas. You have got 3 marks. Aaram se. Aaram se you have got 3 marks for such questions, right? Yeah, I'm one Dani, I give marks. I'm very lenient. Okay. Now we will move on to question number 25. Now we're going to move on to some 5-mark questions. Okay, the next 3-4 are 5 marks. Yes. Now these are give reason questions. So give reason number 1 is during reproduction, inheritance of different proteins will lead to different altered body designs. What is the answer here? During reproduction, inheritance of different proteins will lead to different or altered body design. Arey, I will take medicine, don't worry. Bro, ma'am looks like a student. Just because I'm small, you're telling me that I look like a student. I will explain hemolysis, hemodialysis, don't worry. All you One Piece fans here, I hope you guys are not watching One Piece at this point and you've taken a break from that. I knew the rest of it is easy actually, only this one question is a little tricky. Diabetes mellitus is caused due to the imbalance of insulin hormone. Diabetes insipidus is caused due to imbalance of another hormone which is called as antidiuretic hormone or ADH, which is also called as vasopressin. So different hormones that cause that. Very good, very good. ठीक है. See, different proteins lead to different altered body designs. So when you get different proteins, what will it lead to? Right? We know that if there is alteration in the proteins, right? Now here we are talking about it with respect to variation, right? So if there's any so if there is any error in the DNA copying mechanism, right? So you can write it in a sexual reproduction angle, or you can write it from DNA copying mechanism angle. But I prefer the DNA copying mechanism because they have not mentioned if it is sexual reproduction. So you cannot assume that we are talking about it with respect to 2 parents. Because in one parent also it could be that there could be an error in the DNA copying leading to formation of different proteins. Which is why if there are different proteins produced, there could be different body designs that will occur only because of error in DNA copy. Now, this can be inherited by the offspring in cases where, it can lead to variation if it is there, right? So that's why here we're talking about it with respect to gene expression. So remember, you cannot assume that we're talking about it with respect to sexual reproduction. So that is something that you will have to remember. Yes? Yeah, that is correct. Proteins, you can write it. So like I said, your genes are expressed. So here, proteins are made from where? Your proteins are made from the gene that is there, right? So in this particular case, we see that there are 1 and 2 things. One is these genes, if there is any modification. So again, why will it produce a new protein or a different protein? Alteration made to at a genetic level, at the gene level. And as a result, what will happen? Altered proteins. If altered proteins are there, that means that proteins code for certain characters, which means that now the same character will not come because that protein is no longer there. They could be a altered body design, right? Okay. So the next one is a very simple, fairly simple one. Fertilization cannot take place if pollination does not occur, right? Fertilization cannot take place if pollination does not occur. I'll come back to that. Total Pandit. This is second one is easy one. That's why I thought I'll show it to you. Why will fertilization not happen if pollination doesn't occur? Very good. Fusion, yes. Very good, Pratiti. Very good. Exactly. So pollination is a process of transfer of pollen grain which has our male gamete. If pollination as an event does not happen, then the male and female gametes are not meeting. Thereby, fusion does not occur or fertilization does not happen, right? Which is why you need to write that down. So here you will have to mention that. Okay. Now we will move on to the next one. Yes, so the next third part of this question is, all multicellular organisms cannot give rise to new individuals through fragmentation or regeneration. So can you tell me, why is it that all multicellular organisms cannot give rise to new individuals through fragmentation or regeneration? Bindu, I will do it towards the end of the class. Exactly, very good. Heredity case questions, PSG, I've taken a class just a few weeks back. You can check that out. Yes? Very good, Nishika. Very good, Ayushman. Very good, Subhash. Very good, Jita. Yes, very, very good. Shiva, I think you're giving me the answer for the previous one. Very good, Ashwini. Very good, Anonymous. Yes, very good, Ashwini. Awesome. So I can see, very good. Harsh, Komal, all of you have given me the answers. So now we know that in certain simple organisms, simple multicellular organisms like planaria or spirogyra, we see that they have the ability to reproduce through fragmentation or regeneration. But in complex multicellular organisms, it cannot happen. Why? Because complex if you look at higher multicellular organisms, we see that they have more complexity, complex body organization. So thereby we see that this kind of simple reproductive method will not work, which is why in this case, this is the correct answer, right? Very good. Now let's move on to the next one. Vegetative propagation. So let me go back to the question. So the next one is, vegetative propagation is practiced for growing only some type of plants. Why? Why is it that we use vegetative propagation for growing only some type of plants? There is a specific paragraph in your NCERT that I've told you to highlight. Yes, so I have told you to highlight because that talks about advantages of vegetative propagation. Yes? Ma'am, I don't know proper answer. Go check. Open NCERT now. You can give me the answer. Ashwini, proliferation is when there is increase in number, right? Now, normally, if you see when you talk about growth, right? Growth is not just associated with, let's say, increasing in height or increasing in size and mass, right? I mean, basically, if you think about it. But proliferation is more of a process that enables growth. You can think of it like that. It's a very fine line. It's like DNA copying, DNA replication of sorts. So going back, why vegetative propagation? Why is it that it is specific for some plants, right? Why? Because if I want to propagate some plants very quickly and easily, then I'm able to use vegetative propagation. Or in some cases, they may produce seeds, but those seeds are not viable. And at the same time, we see that in some cases, if seed germination does not happen, then I am able So in such cases, I am able to use vegetative propagation. So it's not that for all plants I can do vegetative propagation, but for some wherein I want to retain the parental characteristics, I will use vegetative propagation. Yes? Why to grow only some type of plants? It's not asking advantages exactly, but here they're also asking you, why is it only for some plants? Some plants because of multiple reasons, right? Either those plants are not able to give me proper seeds. So if, let's assume that I want to grow a banana plant, but I want to grow it fast and quick, then if I compare a banana plant and a pea plant, I would see that, let's say, in some cases, there are seeds which take a long time to germinate when compared to some seeds which will grow faster. So in such cases, I would grow my seeds normally in, let's say, for the seeds that are viable and that are able to grow. But for those which will not germinate or take a very long time, I would rather vegetatively propagate them. So they are asking you advantages, but they're asking you why for those some type of plants, right? The last one is again the same rigmarole that we've been going. Parents and offsprings of organisms reproduce sexually. have same number of chromosomes. Yes? Just give me one moment. Okay. Yes, this has to be implanted in your brain by now. Now we know the answer to this. Chromosome number is maintained how? Chromosome number, or they have this, they sexually reproducing organisms have same number of chromosomes. Yes, DNA stability, meiosis is the answer, right? So if parent has 23 pairs, then offspring will also have 23 pairs because it produces gametes which will have only half the number. So it will have only 23. Yes? Okay. So with this, if you see, I mean, I've given you the answers, but when you are writing, everything is for one mark. So you will get 1 mark for each give reason that we have explained so far. Yes? So this is the E part, 1 mark and a total of 5 marks for the same. So are we clear with this? Are we all clear? Shall we move on to our next question? Question number 26. Yes? Very good. Very good, all of you. Very, very good. Okay. Do you want a 2-minute water break? Do you want to do a 2-minute water break before the next one? Shall we take a 2-minute water break? See, growth, proliferation is rapid. See, proliferation is rapid and it happens very fast. Cells can grow at different paces. Need not always be rapid growth, right? Okay. 2 minutes for me. So we'll take a 2-minute water break and we'll quickly wind this up by 10:30. Okay, jaldi say 10 minutes mein I'll finish off the rest. So 10:20 p.m. we shall be back. Yes, Arshdeep ma'am has not left. She's here only. She's going to come back with some awesome sessions. ठीक है. How much did I get in 10th grade? I'll be honest, I think I got 91 or 92. But I did really well in math and science. So yeah. Okay. Just give me one moment. Guys, don't spam on the chat, please. Okay, so we are back. Last few questions. I would say this is the final lap of questions. And are we ready? Are we ready for the last few questions? Yes? Students requesting you all not to spam, not to get distracted. Pay attention. Yes? Okay. Yes, we'll continue. Now, this is again a 5-mark question where use of condom is beneficial to both sexes involved in a sexual act. Justify by giving 2 reasons. So here you will get 2 marks for this. Part B is how does oral contraceptives help in avoiding pregnancies? Next part is what is sex selective abortion and how does it affect a healthy society? 2 marks for the same. Now students, always remember, if in your 5 marks you have breakup like this where you have subparts, this is the best thing possible, because right now you will not be collectively graded on getting 5 marks for one correct answer, but it's small bits. 2 mark answer, 1 mark answer, 2 mark answer. So treat it in that manner. Yes, and don't get worked up in case if you may or may not know it. You definitely know the answer. Yes. First one is use of a condom is beneficial. So here you have to tell. Yeah, there was a or, I removed it, Ashvi. There was an or for this, but I removed that part. I just made it simple. So here we're talking about why contraception, right? Whether it's in this particular case, we're talking about what are the benefits of using barrier methods, right? What are the benefits of using barrier methods? First and foremost, prevents unwanted pregnancies, prevents transmission of STDs, and of course, we also see that this is more cheaper, right? Yes, there's increase between 2 children and all of that, but more than that, it is a more cheaper, affordable method for most people, which is why you can write any out of the 3 that I have discussed, right? So both parents, 2 points if you write down, you will get 2 marks for the same. Now, somebody was asking me what are STDs. STDs are sexually transmitted diseases. So they are normally transmitted through bodily fluids, right? So in some cases, it could infect the external genitalia and the outer part, or it can affect the reproductive tract and cause infection. So gonorrhea, then you see that, various other infections are there which are normally transmitted through sexually. Even HIV/AIDS is transmitted, but slightly that HIV/AIDS functions differently, where the virus infects or attacks the immune cells of the body, but it is transmitted again through bodily fluids. Yes? STD wala question is very important because it can come in the examination. They can ask you, or they can write about STDs. They can ask you to write about what are STDs and why, or what are the preventive methods to get STDs. What is the minimum gap between babies and why? So normally what happens is that ideally it is recommended to have a minimum of 2 to 3 years between 2 children. Reason being that in some cases, it is to make sure that the mother recovers entirely. So during pregnancy and after giving birth, the mother's body has undergone a lot of changes, which is why it is important that the mother's body has enough time to recuperate and come back. Now, in some cases, if there has been a complication in the pregnancy or in whatever multiple reasons be, they will advise a minimum of 2 to 3 years of gap, right? Okay, syphilis, genital warts are all other examples. Very good. Next one is, how does an oral contraceptive help in avoiding pregnancies? Yes. How do oral contraceptives help in avoiding pregnancies? Now, oral contraceptives are normally your hormonal methods, right? So we see that there are oral pills which are normally hormonal pills. Now, they function in various different ways. First and foremost, we see that they have these chemicals which have the ability to inhibit pregnancy. So some act like you have birth control pills also, wherein let's say the these pills, what they do is they alter the chemistry of the body such that fertilization does not happen. Option number 2 is, let's say, we see that there are these oral pills that are taken such that it delays the ovulation or it changes the hormonal balance such that, let's say, fertilization does not happen. Yes? So all you need to write down is that it disturbs the hormonal balance, but it can have side effects like irregular menstruation, headaches, so on and so forth, right? No, Ayushman, it will not. So there's a certain, that is for termination, what you are talking about, right? So if, let's say, the implantation process has happened, or let's say the baby has grown a certain level, pills may not work, right? And sometimes they don't recommend that as well. When plants which don't have seeds, that's for vegetative propagation, yes. Now next up is what is selective sex selective abortion, right? Ma'am, just these points are needed for 3 marks. 1 point also you write, you will get. It depends on the question. So in this you just need to write 1 mark. How does it do? It creates hormonal imbalance. Enough. Next up, what is sex selective abortion? So back in a few years ago, if you see, we saw that sex selective abortion is when a certain gender is targeted or a certain sex is targeted and the babies are, let's say, aborted or medically terminated so that they don't continue to grow within the mother's body. Now, in the earlier days, we saw that female fetuses were targeted and we call this as female feticide. And we saw that how does it affect a healthy society? See, how does it affect it? It creates an imbalance of male-female. Now we need to have a balance of male and female ratio in the society. Now if you keep, let's say, medically terminating the female fetuses, then there will be an imbalance created between males and females. And apart from this is also not very healthy for the mother, right? So again, we see that it affects the female ratio or the female proportion of the society. Yes? No, sexual act. So mainly in STDs, we see that normally it depends on the disease also, okay? But for syphilis and for gonorrhea and all that, physical, the sexual act in itself and exchange of bodily fluids can result in the disease. Chavi, I missed your doubt, bacha. I'm not intentionally ignoring you, right? Okay, very good. I can see. I'm going back. I'm checking. Most of you have given me the correct answers. Well done, all of you. Well done. Super proud. Yes? My voice has not changed due to hormonal conditions, okay? Himanshu, board exams are coming right around the corner, right? It's coming right around the corner. Now is not the time to be playing games or randomly having conversations, right? Stay focused. 21 days are only left. Okay. Ma'am, only oral pills, 1 mark. Yeah, because they've asked only for how does it work, right? So 5 marks you will get where 2 marks for this, 1 mark for this, 2 marks for this. Easy. Now we will go on to question number 27. This is, you will be like, ma'am, if I get this question, I'm going to do a small bhangra in the examination hall. Different organisms reproduce differently based on their body design. Justify the above statement by using examples of 3 different organisms which reproduce by different methods of asexual reproduction. So here what you need to write? You need to write any 3 asexual modes of reproduction. That's all. Simple. Next up, differentiate between sexual and asexual modes of reproduction. If you get this for 5 marks, I am 100% sure that all of you will be super duper happy. So you need to write any 3. You can write binary fission, fragmentation, budding. You can write binary fission, spore formation. Any 3 you can write, okay? Yeah, I know, y'all will be dancing only. When I saw this also, it was a very simple one, right? Now next up, so here you can binary fission, you've seen it in amoeba. From a single organism, you get 2 daughter cells where they will split. So what is the key word for fission? It is the word that the parent will split to give rise to 2 daughter cells. Fragmentation, they are broken down into fragments and each fragment will give rise to a new organism. Budding mein, your keyword is outgrowth. So a small outgrowth from the parent which will develop into a new organism. Spore formation, you can write about fungi. Yes? Very good. Very, very good. Leelavati, Nastic movements are movements seen in plants which are not growth related. So it is not because of growth, but it is in response to, let's say, a stimulus, right? Okay. You can get 1-2 easy questions also. Then is to differentiate between sexual, asexual. This is for 2 marks. This particular thing is going to come for 3. The other one is for 2 marks, right? So you can write the pointers down. In asexual mode, we see that 1 parent, 2 parents. No gametes, gametes are there. No variation, variations are there. Easy, right? Are we clear? Prostate gland and seminal vesicle. Seminal vesicle secretion is responsible for providing nutrients or nutrition to the sperms. Prostate gland ensures that it provides a proper medium so that the sperms can survive in the female tract. Yes? So everyone, this is a very easy question. I didn't have to explain this question because that's how easy it is, right? Okay, so shall we move on? Aditya, I think I missed your question. Can you send it once again? Independent assortment. Oh God, that's a very long topic for me to teach. Amrita, placenta, that is, there is a disc-like tissue which is present in the mother's body in the uterus, which is normally formed once the baby has been developing, right, during the gestation period. So this placenta that is there acts as a, it acts as a communicator between mother and baby. So whatever nutrients, whatever oxygen, gases that is needed from mother, it will transfer it to the baby, right? And whatever waste is produced by the baby is taken back to the mother's body. Yes? Okay. Cool. Let's move on to the next question. This is also very easy. It's a 5-mark question. See, they've told you all this story, okay? They've given you one huge story. Pollination ये है, वो है, pollinator है, stigma है, blah, blah, blah. So much is given. But we don't want to see all that. What do we want to see? The question. What is the question? Define pollination. Explain types of pollination. What are 2 pollinating agents? How does pollination help in fertilization? Now, if you get this particular question in the exam, how would you feel? This is very, very easy. This can come for 3 marks. This can come for 2 marks also. Or it can come for 5 marks as well, right? So what is pollination? Pollination is nothing but, okay, I will answer that, okay, 1 minute. So it is transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma of a flower. Right? Now the next part of the question is, what are the 2 types? We have self-pollination, which is transfer of anther to pollen between the same flower or 2 different flowers of the same plant. Cross-pollination is transfer of pollen from anther to stigma of 2 different flowers of 2 different plants, right? So it is both. Yes? Now next up is pollinating agents. You can write any 2. Wind, water, insect, bird, bat, any of it you can do, right? Then, why is pollination, or how does pollination help, right? Ma'am, agents are helpers, right? Yes, Venkatesh, agents are helpers, okay? Now, how does pollination help fertilization? Because they bring the pollen grain has the male gamete. So they are the ones which bring the pollen grain all the way. They are the ones which bring the pollen grain from the male anther closer to the stigma, and so that it gets closer to the female gamete, right? So with this, you will get 5 marks. You will get 2 marks for this, 1 mark for this, 2 marks for this. Actually, the first one will be for 3 marks. It will be 3, 1, 1. That will be the split up. Yes? Yeah, it's a direct question. I went through it quickly so that you all know, right? See, regeneration, fragmentation. Fragmentation is a type of reproduction seen in Spirogyra where the parent will break into fragment and each fragment will give rise to a new organism. Regeneration is done more as a survival mechanism where during unfavorable conditions, if the body gets split or it gets cut off, then the part that is lost will be regenerated. Yes? How does copper T work? So the copper T that is there is normally inserted into the female body, into the uterus. And the copper ions that are there activate certain chemical reactions which thereby kill the sperms. Thereby it acts as a contraceptive method. Post-fertilization changes in humans. Post-fertilization, there is no change in the human, but rather there is change in the zygote. Zygote will undergo different stages of development and give rise to embryo. Embryo will then become fetus. Fetus will become a young one, right? Yes, very, very good, right? Now let's move on to question number 29. Last two questions. Now these are case-based, which means Abro Mendel is back. Consider... I like how Basu said I'm a hardworking guy. But thank you. Okay, so let's have a look, right? Consider a pea plant that is recessive for plant height. Its genotype, okay, its genotype is TT and the phenotype is dwarf. Assuming that the gene for the plants follow Mendel's laws of inheritance, indicate the genotypes and phenotypes of all possible pair and pairs that could have dwarf offspring. Yeah, I know I have laryngitis, guys. Yes. Aditya sent it. I think it was on vegetative propagation, right? I was in one flow of teaching, so I got lost. So let's have a look at the first one. This is a twisted question, but you all know the answer to this. You all know the answer. So what is given? Given is that there is a pea plant which is recessive, right? That means it is dwarf. Now what are they asking? Based on this, right? Based on this, assuming that this is following Mendel's laws of inheritance, what are the possible genotypes and phenotypes of possible parent? So what parent can I get that could give me dwarf offsprings? That means what parent possibilities or what parent can I use such that I will get dwarf offspring? In which all combinations? Only one or two? Genotype is there, bacha. Genotype is the this TT and all is genotype. Students, they have asked you all the possible. Think. Very good. I see the answers now. Shreyas, Subhash, Steve has given me the answer, but he's given it to me only half. Think. Very good, Meenakshi. Very good. Aditya, hello. Yes, very good, Ritvik. Very good, Ashvi. Yes, they're asking you what are the possibilities that I get dwarf offspring. They don't care if you're getting a dominant offspring also, right? So in this case, what are the possibilities? You can get one like this where you have a homozygous parent, or if you have a heterozygous parent also, you can get a dwarf offspring. Ma'am, they haven't mentioned F2. In F1 also you can get this. They're saying if my F1 should have dwarf offspring, what should be my parental plants, right? So now, writing this, you will get what? 2 marks or 1 mark. The second part is asking you to write down the cross, right? Show the cross. That if you have told me that ye or ye dega mere ko dwarf plants or dwarf offsprings, write it down. Yes? So they've said using any of the parent pairs mentioned by you, perform a cross to show that genotypes that might arise in the next generation. Yes? So you can just write the cross down. So now you know one parent is TT. Yeah? I can take the heterozygous parent here. I can cross it. I'll draw the Punnett square. Are you all with me, or have you all gotten lost in between? Are you all with me, or have you all gotten lost? Tell me that so that I can explain once again. Or I can do this also. Both are possible. Yes? Are you with me? Okay, well done. See, both cases are there. You just need to tell me any one case that they have asked, right? And they've asked you to talk about genotypes, which means this you need to do. Ma'am, second is wrong. Oh, yeah. Oh, I wrote it ulta. I have a habit of writing it the other way. Yeah, thanks. Done. Very good. Yeah. Now I've corrected it. It's okay? Good to go? Ha. I know it's habit. This is where I make silly mistakes. Next up, one second. So there is a OR question for this, right? What is the phenotypic ratio? The phenotypic ratio here is all are dwarf, right? While in this case, it will be it'll be 1:1 only, the phenotypic ratio. Because you have two which are heterozygous dominant, two which are homozygous recessive. Yes? 1:1 ratio in the second case. Now this is the OR question. This is question number. Yeah, this is question number 29, sorry. So the OR question is, in an asexually reproducing species, if a trait X exists only in 5% of the population. So now you have a population of asexually reproducing organisms, okay? Now they're saying, let's assume there are 100 of them. They're saying that 5% of this 100 has a trait X, while we see that trait Y is there in 75%, right? And we see that in the same old population. Which trait is most likely to have arisen earlier and why? If you are telling me that, okay, is it about dominance? Now go back. We are talking about asexually reproducing species. Now in asexual reproduction, if you look at asexual reproduction, we know that there is DNA copying that is happening, right? So we have DNA copying that happens. Now in the case of DNA copying, when it takes place, most often the traits are going from one generation to another. Now in some, let's say after 50 generations or 70 generations, one variation takes place. Then that variation will continue, which means that in this particular case, occurrence is what we are talking about exactly. It is not about dominance here, but rather what do we see? We see that in asexually reproducing organisms, it's not about dominance or recessiveness, because they have just spoken up. They have not given it to you in combination, right? But let's assume this is every 10 generations, right? Every 10 generations. The trait Y has been passed on from generation after generation. But trait X has come up recently, which is why very few of the population has trait X. That is why in this particular case, because of its occurrence, it has been there for a longer period and we see that majority of the population has it. We see that trait Y here would have likely to have arisen earlier than trait X. Yes? So in this case, when you are writing the answer, trait Y has arisen much earlier because in asexual reproduction, identical copies are produced, right? And variations do not occur. New traits will come only due to sudden mutation or changes. Anish is asking me, ma'am, how can we take TT? It is only heterozygous dominant. See, what is the question asking us? Let's go back to this. The question is telling that there is one parent who is homozygous recessive. Yeah? You are clear with me? Some parent is homozygous recessive. Now they are asking me what possible genotypes and phenotypes. And they're not telling that one. They're saying all the possible parent pairs that could give me dwarf offsprings. They're not telling me that what will give me dwarf offsprings or which parent will give me. They're asking all possible. They're asking me all possible combinations that will give me dwarf. Which is why, Anish, I have taken this particular parent combination as, in this case, these are the two possible parents. Yes? I hope we are clear, Anish. We are not talking about dominance because it need not be that some dominant trait is advantageous, right? See, dominance and recessive you will have to see when we have a combination of alleles, right? Or we have a pair, yes? Which is why here they are not mentioning it in that aspect. They are talking as trait X, trait Y. We are not looking at it a little bit in with respect to, let's say, a combination. That is why. Can we take any one? You can take any one. That is where the second question comes in. They're saying taking any one, you do the cross, right? Okay, I know my voice is it's okay, it's the second day. Cool. Last question, everybody, for tonight. This is the last and final question. And this is again repeated questions that we've been doing all tonight. So, question number 1, right? Yes, exactly, Ashvi. Very good. Now, last question is, why does an offspring of a human being not a true copy of his parents during sexual reproduction? Do you need me to explain this? Why is it that a human being is not a true copy of a parent during in sexually reproducing organisms? We know the answer to this because in this particular case, we know that an offspring, when parents come together or in human beings, one set of chromosomes come from the father, one come from the mother, right? Which is why in this particular case, there is a combination of genes coming in. So variations that have occurred at, let's say, at the parental level will come together, right? And they will come together at the offspring level, which is why we see that it is not a true copy. Because we see that it inherits half of the genetic material from each parent, and during this process there's a crossing over process which arises in variation, but apart from that the individual will also accumulate variation from the parents. Hence we see that in this case we see that it is not a true copy, but we are similar. Yes, very good. Next up, while performing experiments on inheritance in plants, what is the generation between F1 and F2 generation? So when I do a monohybrid cross, what is the difference between F1 and F2? Yes? What is the difference? See, Now, if you take F1 parents, right, or if you look at it on an F1 front, now you can start the question, or you can start the answer by saying that if I take two homozygous parents, right, one homozygous dominant and one homozygous recessive, we see that one in F1 generation, we see that there is law of dominance where the dominant trait will always express itself over the recessive. And in F2, what we observe is that the trait that wasn't expressed in the previous generation will now be expressed, right? So here you can write about both these things, that between F1 and F2, we see that there are some traits which will express itself in F2 that may not have been expressed in F1 when we consider. You have to write this down. When you consider a homozygous dominant and recessive parent. So don't ऐसे हवा में write this. Write down what parents you are considering so that your answer is more clear. Yes? Are you clear about this? Are you all with me? Very good, Aryan, very, very good. F2 में you can write about why it is 3:1, right? Okay. So this was the second part of the question. Now the last part of the question, which I want you all to give me the answer, right? This is a homework for all of you. This is a homework question where why do we say that variations are useful for survival of species over time? So this right here is going to be your homework question for the day, which you can let me know in the comments. You need not let me know now, you can let me know tomorrow also. Yes, and of course I will be correcting your answers, which means I will be checking them as well. Because Ashwini, in the case of planaria, if you look at it, planaria is not a huge organism. It is a small organism, which means most of its body has the ability to regenerate. Its whole body has that ability to, or there are specialized cells throughout the body wherein it can grow itself. But in the case of a lizard, it is restricted to the tail, or in our case, it is restricted to our liver, right? Which is why we see that there's a difference in regeneration between planaria and, let's say, our body. So with this, students, we have come to the end of a very long, I would say, class. I hope that all of you here found this particular class helpful. Because see, I know your boards are coming right around the corner. Lot of stress, lot of tension is coming in. Most importantly, I feel like it is a lot of self-inflicted stress. Even if we feel like we know it, we'll be like, nay, I have not studied. Oh, that person has done this, I have not done that. Maybe I should also do that. And all that is very normal, because even when you're an adult, you'll start feeling that, oh, that guy has done this particular thing. Maybe I should also do like him, or maybe he should also do it like that. See, all of you are at your own journeys, right? You're all going through your own journey where you are learning at your own pace. You're studying at your own pace. Always tell yourself that you've got this, right? You have got this. You guys have, worked very hard to be where you are today. See, whether it was your pre-boards, whether it was, your unit tests that were happening, you guys have come up until this point, right? Now is not the time for you to run back and say, I can't do this. It's too late. You're closer to the finish line than you think. Now, all you need to do is give it that final stretch where you work really hard. Every day counts. Please don't waste your time at this point, because much later you will think back to this point thinking, had I wished I was a little more serious, I would have scored much better marks, right? So please, everybody, all of you, use your next 20 days wisely. And no matter what happens, we are proud of you, right? We are immensely proud. You guys have no idea how grateful we are every day. If today I am standing here with a horrible voice, pushing myself to recover, it's only because I want to come stand in front of this camera and teach you and make sure that I help every single student up until the finish line, right? I know I keep falling sick, but I try my best to recover. Yes, I know many doubts have gone unanswered today. So those of you who have doubts, and for those of you who still have some concerns regarding some topics, let me know in the comments of this video. I will definitely answer back. If you need me to explain once again, I'll personally reply back to all of you in the comments. Yes? So everybody, this is me signing off today. I hope you all enjoyed this, and all these questions which all of you are asking me, let me know in the comments, right? So thank you so much everyone, right? Thank you so much everybody. I will see you all very, very soon. Lot of interesting classes coming your way. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the channel. If you've not liked this video, like it. Take care. Lots of love to all of you, and bye bye and good night.